Hello, welcome to the live stream. There are lots of you here in the chat, so please let me know if you can see and hear me and that everything is working okay, because I did have to restart this camera. So lovely to see you all. People are very excited to talk about tonight's topic, which is planner overconsumption. And keeping with the overconsumption theme, I have 2 donuts today. Which is because the last half hour that the donut shop is open, they do buy one, get one. And whatever. I just decided to do it. I was there the last half hour. Yeah. Anyway, it's lovely to see you all. Everybody says they can see and hear me. Fuzzbubble says it's a reason to keep the evening streams when we have the buy one, get one donuts. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the stream times. We're just going to get through the summer at this time, and then we will reassess. I'm actually like losing subscribers the past 2 months for the first time ever, which I don't think is related to moving the live stream times, but I'm sure it can't be helping anyway. But it's lovely to have all of you here. It doesn't matter how many other people didn't show up. It's great to have you all here. Yes, 2 donuts, very excited. Possum Planner is ready to dive in, and frankly, I'm ready to dive in too. So, like a fair warning, if you're not, I mean, quite a few people that are here have planner related things in their usernames, so they're probably here for the planner content. But I think that this, even if you are not a planner person, so to speak, and you are not tempted about overspending on planners or calendars, a lot of people have that thing that it might be a hobby, it might just be like something that is a non-essential temptation for them. And maybe you live a very monk-like, frugal life and you're not tempted by anything that costs money. But most of us have a thing. And I think a lot of the tips I am going to give about how to kind of fight overconsumption, how to strategize so that you don't end up spending a lot of regrettable spending. And I am not saying necessarily that you shouldn't spend any money on things that bring you joy. I'm not saying that at all. I obviously not. I have an entire cabinet of washi tape behind me. They bring me a lot of joy. And I don't regret most of those. But get another siren. See, we're going to move. We're going to move, and it's going to be nice. I'm going to have fewer sirens, most likely. Anyway, but I think that most of the tips that I'm going to give are going to be applicable to whatever that thing is. A couple of them might be a little more specific to, like, planners or those kinds of things, but... Pixie Dust says, I want 2 donuts. Double donuts. Everybody's very excited about this. And Possum Planner is ready to jump in, says, have so many thoughts about the Sterling ink pre-order going on right now. Not about the planner itself, just about how bonkers everybody is getting about what to order. I agree. So Sterling ink is this is what kind of prompted this. I mean, I've talked about wanting to do this topic before, and some people have brought it up. I did like a microeconomics of the planner industry stream like a couple years ago, and maybe a year and a half ago. And, but I didn't do a ton of talking about just like the sheer amount of consumption that goes into a lot of these planning communities. And, seeing the Sterling ink Common Planner pre-order, means that like quite commonly it means that like quite commonly you're watching what is a panic frenzy ensue. And the Sterling ink planner launch has been like it's been wild. I've been seeing people that are buying like $650 worth of planners. I also have some thoughts on it from a business owner perspective who has done multiple large print runs of books before. I am very curious. I don't want to dive too much into the owner, Catherine's like finances, but I can give you some like, because I don't know about them. Like, it would be pure speculation, and I don't necessarily think that speculating on her business is valuable, but I am a little curious about how she's kind of pulling this off, and like what her customer numbers are like to make the kind of scale that she's doing possible. And we can kind of talk about that a little bit more. That's more specific to planners than it is generally to like not overspending. But yeah. Know Your Joe says, do you know what the average income in the US? So I think the average individual income is still around $30,000. And then the median household income for the US, I think, is $54,000. That's median household. Median is usually a better way of measuring than average, because, you know, with average, you get like the really low ends and the really high ends dragging the numbers around. Here, let's see what median household income US right now is. Oh, it's up. It's like way more up than I thought. I was thinking of a Portland metro area. So the median household income in the US right now is $70K. So that's household though. So that's like everybody in the household. Per capita income, I believe, is like 42, 34, something like that. ADHD means having thing after thing after thing. Yeah. So one of the things we're going to talk about, I mean, I think we've dove into this before on some of like the ADHD budgeting streams, and talking about like ways to kind of resist that sort of impulse, especially when you get that, like, it's not specifically an ADHD urge, but I think it occurs very frequently in ADHD people, where you get really excited about a hobby, you decide you're going to master a hobby, and then you have to get all of the things in order to get really into the hobby, right? And you end up spending a ton of money on something that you have unfinished knitting projects or unpainted miniatures, or, you know, like a loom, because you were going to learn to like make your own yarn or whatever it might be. And, you know, or you like got a bunch of really nice pots and pans because you were going to like master doing some sort of cooking thing that you never had previously decided you were into. So I think a lot of these strategies can kind of help with that, but I'm going to talk more specifically about how you can limit for a hobby that you already know you're into. So yeah. The Journaling Broom says, yes, I saw that video. Their planners are gorgeous though. Rachel, their planners are gorgeous, and I think it's absolutely reasonable to buy one. I actually bought a Sterling Ink Common Planner last year. I gave one away on the stream because I pre-ordered it, and then I found out about the Take a Note planner, which would end up working for me. And one of the things I figured out, guess what? I know myself, and I know I will not use two planners. So there was no reason for me to hold on to it. And I would have sold it in a buy-sell trade group, but this allowed me to just write it off as a business expense, and it was nice to be able to give it away to folks. So Possum Planner says, that's how I found you, the microeconomics of planners ones. Well, maybe I'll stop shrinking as a channel if I do more planner streams. I keep threatening to become a full-on planner YouTuber. But I think that this topic really, really needs to be talked about, because it needs to be talked about in the world of planner stuff specifically. But it's important to like step away from the insular communities that you're in for hobbies. So like if you are let's use planners as the example. Like if you are a planner person or a journaling person, and you are following all of the pre-orders, and you're in all the Facebook groups, and you're following all these Instagram things, and you're watching people's plan with me's, and you're seeing the sticker kits or the washi tape or the type of planner that they're using. It's really, really, if you're into fountain pens and you followed like the releases of the new inks, it's really easy to not gain some perspective on what is and isn't a reasonable expense. Because when I first started getting into planning beyond just being a person who liked planners and bought like, researched everything at Office Depot extensively, but didn't know about planner kits or stickers and didn't have Instagram, so I like didn't follow any of those accounts, before StudyTube, when I just started to get into the planner world, as like a niche of content and like micro economies, I was floored by how much stuff the content creators in the planner world had. There are people that produce content for planner Instagrams, for planner YouTube channels. There's only so much content you can make unless you're naturally very talented, like you have a lot of artistic skills on your own, or you are constantly using new sticker kits, new washes, you're reviewing new planners, you're testing and swapping planners. You have a planner for every part of your life. You've got a work planner, a fitness planner, a faith planner, a long-term goal planner, a journal, a memory keeper. Like, if you have a lot of those things and you're someone who's creating content, partially because you're into this hobby and in order to like kind of offset what you spend on the hobby, you start making content, then you're like, it becomes a very different consumption pattern than it would be if you were not making content. But then what happens is people that aren't making content but are consuming that content because they're into it. Like, I love looking at people's planners in particular, like even more than journals, because it tells me two things. It tells me about like how people like plan their days and think about productivity and sometimes even their careers, depending on the person. But it also gets to show me like artistry, right? And so I love consuming that content, but you start to get normalized to it. So, when I first saw that, I would see people like going through just like huge stacks of sticker kits, and I'd be like, what the fuck? Where are they getting all these from? And now that I've been in it for a while, I'm one of those people. Like, I'm reaching back, but I actually moved my stickers over here. But I'm one of those people that like slowly over many years, I've actually and I buy so little compared to a lot of people in the planner community. I also produce far less planner related content. I don't have a popular Instagram. I don't have a planner only specific channel. I don't do weekly plan with me's because I honestly don't think that you all would want to watch me plan the same things every week. And I'm just like not artistic enough that I think it would be valuable. But I do think that there is it's like the hedonic adaptation curve. So in economics, we have this thing called a hedonic adaptation curve. And it essentially means that like it can mean a lot of things, but in this context, hedonic adaptation means that like once you've kind of upgraded your life and you've moved up to that next level of consumption. So in this example, I'll say, I got a dishwasher in my apartment. I had not had a dishwasher before, and my set point raised. So where I am willing to be happy with my apartment now includes having a dishwasher in it. I would both consider it a downgrade, but also like my set point is now at a higher level. I previously didn't require a dishwasher to be happy with my apartment. Now I need a dishwasher to live in my apartment. And that's my hedonic adaptation. And that happens within hobbies, where at first you're just so excited to get like your first fancy planner as opposed to the one that you got from the dollar store or free from work or sent you in the mail by the Nature Conservancy or whatever. And that's exciting. But then you have to get it planner covers. And then you need to have different planner covers for different seasons. And then you need to get fountain pens. And then you need to get into like seasonal sticker kits. And then you get a sticker subscription and washi tape. And then, you start like adjusting. And if you are only in these insular communities of other people with the hobbies, you're consuming content from them, you're in the Facebook groups, you're watching people fill their cart with $650 worth of planners, then you absolutely will start to have that hedonic set point higher, right? Like now I require a fountain pen when I use my planner. I feel like my pages look empty without washi tape, right? And it doesn't mean I use other things, but like this tells you something about the kind of hedonic adaptation that can happen within hobbies, right? And so you could say it's like a slippery slope, but it's also like the thing to understand is that you start to get diminishing returns. So quite commonly, a diminishing return would be, you're for putting more input in, you're not getting as much out after a certain part of the curve. So when it comes to hedonic adaptation, what happens with the diminishing returns is that like that first fountain pen that you get, if you're into fountain pens, brings you so much joy. And then getting another one in the same color is a diminishing return. You get a little less joy relative. And for each kind of excessive one, you get fewer and fewer. And that even applies generally to people that are into collecting. So I am not as into collecting physical objects, so it's not something I get a lot of joy of. I know a lot of people who need to have complete sets and stuff like that, and that makes them happy. But I am a collector when I in Duolingo, like I will collect every badge. And I used Habitica as my online like to-do list software for a really long time. And the thing for Habitica for me was that I had to have every single animal and it was virtual. But the thing for me was that there wasn't a marginal cost. I didn't have to pay for each of those animals. I would not be motivated if I had to pay because I would not feel like the input was worth it to me. But even if you are a collector, you do still get diminishing returns. Okay. There's so many comments and I'm like way behind. So I'm just going to read some comments and respond to them because I went off to the races, y'all. Okay. Yes. So Possum Planner says, I don't know what I'll use these for, but I'm going to order each one of them, talking about the pre-orders. So, what is going on with this is, I'm going to actually project this on the screen so that people can see this. Wait, why is it not? There we go. Okay. So this is the Common Planner pre-order, and the pre-order is through like July 9th, and Possum Planner says it's insane because it's a pre-order. This is where I'm a little confused about her business model, because each of these like essentially, there's two things that I have an economic/business perspective on with this. Last year, she just released, like, I think there was roughly 4 different versions of the planner. This year, she has gone completely wild. And so the planner it has all of these different sizes. And then for each size, there's 3 different variations of the type. So you can either get it like with a certain amount of pages at the end, you can get it split into 2 books for like half year, or you can get it like all in one big chunky book. But then into each of these sizes, there's the option of all of these different colors, and each of them you could get either gilded edges or white edges on the planner. And the amount of sizes she's doing A5, A6, B6, Traveler's Notebook size, the Hobonichi week size, and the passport size. And if you don't know, if you're not a planner person, you don't know what all those are, it's fine. Moving on. It's just a lot of sizes. So like the amount of combinations, I would have to sit down and do like basic level Combinatorics. How do you say that? I don't actually know if I've ever said that word before. Anyway, if you do basic level stats and like figure out how many it is, but it is a lot of different options. And usually that is not easy to do within the world of production. I hope she's got it all produced. But then my behavioral economics side would actually say that we know that humans tend to get really overwhelmed when they have too many choices. And this is the case for me. I honestly feel like it's so many choices. I'm procrastinating on picking one because I'm pretty sure I'm going to use this planner next year. And I'm having trouble picking one. And I don't want to get multiple planners because that seems very wasteful for a, planner that costs like up to $50, depending on the $50 or $60 if you get like the A5 versions, the largest of them. And I'm just like very stressed by that. But then I was wondering, maybe she's actually brilliant because I am seeing all of these people that are like getting one of every type. They're getting like multiple colorways and they don't know like what they're going to use them all for. Possum Planner says there's no rush. Well, there is a rush, and this is one of the things I want to talk about, is that there's some level of time pressure in it, and people act bananas when there's a level of time pressure, which is why fake time pressure is like a common sales tactic. You know, that's why, like, when you go onto the scammy Chinese websites to buy things, they seemingly are running a deal that is going to expire at the end of the day every day. So, you know, a timer will start clicking down. And that isn't to say that her time constraint isn't very real. She needs to get these into production. She's a small business. She has to get these into production like in July so that she has enough. And she's doing pre-orders so that, you know, so that one, people won't complain if things sell out really quickly, which is a big problem for a lot of these small businesses that can't do massive print runs. And so that she knows how many to order of each size. One of my questions is, like, if only, because there's so many combinations within this, if like only some people order the Traveler's Notebook half year in green with gold edges, like what if only like 2 or 3 people order that? Like, is she gonna produce that? Does she, like, are the covers being, anyway. Possum says, full disclosure, I do use her planner currently. I last year decided the Take a Note would work better for me, and I gave away the Sterling Ink planner to someone that I did a giveaway on this live stream, and I am pretty sure I am going to order the Sterling Ink for next year, but I'm like really struggling with what is the perfect thing for me. I love that everybody's doing full disclosures. You know, there's no requirement that you do these full disclosures, but I love it. Disclosure on my side, I'm part of the microeconomics. I run an Etsy planning sticker store. There's a huge demand and market on Etsy for this. Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. And also, I mean, I also run a sticker shop. I mean, it's not quite the same as a planner sticker shop, but I sell cat stickers. Lots and lots of cute cat planner stickers. So I also am part of the microeconomics of this. I didn't get into this from the planning side. I got into this from, you know, have a finance cat book, and I wanted it to have stickers because I like pretty paper and paper things. But as a knitter, I can say that every single knitter has unfinished objects, UFOs. Possum Planner says there's not enough people talking about overconsumption. It's like Cindy Garint Bardo, and that's it. Yeah, I also don't know how to pronounce Cindy's last name, but I know who you're talking about. She's a fairly large, like, planner YouTuber, and she's doing, like, a no-buy this year, for, like, the whole year, and that's, like, radical in the world for a planner content creator, especially someone who works full-time for herself. Not all of it is content creation, because she also, like, teaches some courses and does hand lettering, art, and stuff like that. But she's also quite big in the community. And her doing a no-buy is pretty, like, bold from the perspective of a planner content creator. And she's, like, one of the few people that really is talking about it. Someone else that I follow, Jobs Journal, who's more from the Traveler's Notebook side. And Traveler's Notebook is, like, the whole thing is set up for overconsumption. They are a brilliant company. Everything is limited edition. They, you know, people get they really appeal to collectors. I say this as someone who went to Japan and, like, got my first Traveler's Notebook because I was like, this is how it's gonna work. I'm sorry, my hair is just a disaster today, and I thought I had fixed it before this live stream, but now I just keep fixing it in the live stream. How about I just do this? I'm watching a K-drama right now, which I'm really into K-dramas, and if anybody wants to talk about, like, weird sexist tropes in K-dramas and, like, problematic male figures, let me know. But anyway, one of the characters has to have a disguise because she's, like, dating the president of her company accidentally, but it's a fake dating relationship. All you need to know is her general disguise is a slightly longer wig that is her same hair, and that she wears what she calls dark makeup, but it is absolutely not dark makeup by any Western standards. But then when she's at work, she's always, like, putting her hair over her face so that she can avoid being recognized. It's, yeah. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted there. Besodden with Cotton says, this is one area where my procrastination serves me well. That is actually true for me as well. that is one of the tactics that I kind of want to talk about, which is that you just keep delaying purchases and you fight that kind of time pressure until you've missed out, and then you see how you really feel about it. This works really well if there's something that you know that you can get later, you might just have to pay a little bit more for. So this is a great example with the common planners. Like, a lot of people are getting FOMO of being like, oh, do I get this? I don't know if it's the right planner for me. Do I need to get it during this pre-order in July? But like, realistically, there's all these people buying multiple planners. You will be able to get it used later if you want. And you at any time can just say, I will decide about this later. Like, no one needs to be buying a 2024 planner in July of 2023. We have our fancy ass planners have the next calendar year in them for a reason. And so, you really can use procrastination as a tactic. Rachel says, I love Cindy's channel. She's also real and reasonable at planner spending. I love it, but I need to remember what works for one person is not going to work for me. I like the tactic of watching anti-consumerism videos in the world of planners as a way to like fight your spending creeping up. I actually will do this generally when I start to notice like my spending or my shifting of like what I'm willing to spend in life in general. Sometimes I'll read like ultra frugality blogs to bring myself back into it, because it really is you start to have that hedonic adaptation. You start to think like, oh, whatever, it's not a big deal. It's just $20 on washi tape. But like maybe 10 years ago, you would have been like, that's bananas to spend $20 on tape. And so sometimes it's good to read the outside perspectives or the remind yourself. In academic literature, it is said that vegans, even like hardcore animal rights vegans, have to occasionally expose themselves to animal rights literature and like documentaries and stuff in order to like reinforce their belief systems. I've been thinking about this from like a religion perspective, because I think a lot of people approach veganism like a religion. I will say I don't think I need to do that, but animal rights is not my motivation for being vegan. So hedonic referring to hedonistic. Yes, but it's not quite exactly the same. It is related. It's like the same root word because it's about joy and utility. What is washi tape? Oh, know your Joe. It's paper tape that has things printed on it, and like here there's a lot of very cute ones that have art on them, and it's removable. So it's washi spelled with an I at the end, not a Y. But yes, I have a lot of it slowly. Okay. I'm trying to catch up, man. The time pressure is bad for me and my impulsiveness. I know I'm being manipulated, but I still let it happen. Okay, I'm going to give you my hot tip, fuzz bubbles. The 24-hour waiting period is so helpful, because here's the thing about the time pressure. Almost all sales are longer than 24 hours. Especially in the planner community, they tend to be at least a couple days long. And if they are really so short, you know that they're coming, so you can plan ahead of time. And implementing that waiting period, the putting things in carts and then walking away, can be really helpful. And there's a couple different ways that you can help yourself. One, this is my I'm getting into like the recommendations, but I do want to keep talking about the planner community economics. One, avoid going to the places and consuming the type of content that makes you want to indulge when you are feeling like bad, down, lonely. A lot of the things where you will end up impulsively shopping are because you are hungry, you are thirsty, you are sad, you are lonely, you have some sort of human impulse, and then you decide to then go scroll. And while you're scrolling, you're imagining there's a happier, more productive, more artistic, insert whatever it might be, version of yourself, more fit, whatever it might be, of your future self, and it will be solved by this product. For me, it's scrolling on Instagram on planner feeds that makes me be like, oh, look, there's a sale, or oh, look, I could be getting this beautiful fountain pen ink or whatever. And so what I ended up doing was that I made a second Instagram for my planner content, and I only follow planner accounts there. And when I am feeling calm, I find it really delightful to look at it, because it's not going to be like political posts or people that are hotter than me or whatever posting on there. Instead, it's like a calming thing to look at. But if I am feeling like sad or frazzled, I could easily like scroll on that and then find myself clicking through and buying things on Instagram shops, on Etsy, clicking on ads. And so I avoid consuming that kind of content when I am sad or depressed. So if you start to track your triggers, if you have regrettable purchases on hobby spending, like you find yourself buying excessive amounts of stickers or whatever, start to like notice that. If you end up regretting some of the spending or overspending relative to what you feel like is okay, start to notice what the triggers are. And then this is a really big one, but planning ahead for these kind of purchases. Like if you have planning, you have a hobby that could be cheap or it could be really expensive. And you need to set budget limits ahead of time. And that could be very like, that could be very like short-term budget. It could be like, for this sale on this planner website that I like just recently, I bought the Coffee Monster Co. Washi tape. I appreciate that she tells you what's going to be released ahead of her pre-orders and everything. I made a like very clear budget of like, okay, I can spend $20 on washi tape. That's exciting to me. It's a reasonable purchase amount, but I planned ahead of that for that. I also like recommend the tactics that you can use is you could set an overall budget. You could say, okay, it's this year I'm going to spend a total of $100 on planner items, and that is the amount that I am going to spend, and that is the total amount. The thing that I like to reinforce is I am not harshing anyone's vibe for spending money on planner stuff, obviously, or whatever, insert whatever your thing is, knitting, fabric, costuming, whatever. But if it is a thing that you do for fun, it is a non-essential thing, and then you find yourself only being willing to spend that money if you can split it into installments. If you can do, buy now, pay later, shop pay installments, whatever, any kind of those like, financing things. If you are financing your hobbies, then you should not be spending on those hobbies. You have to find ways to do it cheaper. If the only way you can afford to get that $60 planner is to break it up in installments, or that's the only way that it becomes palatable to you, then it is a sign that right now you should not be in hobby spending mode. And it can be really hard to handle that, to like recognize that in yourself, but that is like the first thing that you need to hear. If you are needing to finance it, oh my God, it hurts me so hard when I see planner sticker shops that have stickers for planners that have like buy now, pay it later stickers. That's like someone checking out, and it's a sticker you put in your planner for how you are then going to split that into installments. And I am not crapping on the value and how much it has in many ways democratized like installments and layaway plans and low interest access, because a lot of those are low or no interest plans, but they should not be used for hobbies. I cannot keep up with the chat, you all. Okay, we already talked about washi tape. Possum Planner says, She basically made everything everyone asked for. It's a whole nother story, but demanding post the past years, but I guess the demand is there. It's overwhelming, which I think is why people are freaking out. Yeah, this is referring to the Sterling Ink planner sale. I think that, like, really frustrating part of that is that it makes it I think it, like, it really is bad for her boundaries as a business owner that she's made essentially everything everyone has asked for. And also, I would say that business owner, like, customers don't always know what they want. Right? As evident by how many planner people are still searching for planner piece after buying, like, a bunch of things. Rachel says, I think she's a small business that exploded and probably needs the pre-order funds to meet the minimum quantity needed to place the planner order with a manufacturer. Oh, I absolutely agree that I don't think the pre-orders are a bad idea. I think that the question is, how is she going to reach the minimum orders when she has so many options? Because there's frankly too many options, and I think that she may end up not being able to meet the pre-order thresholds for some of those, like, colorways with more rare sizes combined with the gold edges. But I don't know how her structure is. Maybe because it's just the inners, she's really only technically doing, like, 5 variations, which is still a lot. And then the covers are, like, a separate, because she's probably going to a different binder, I'm assuming. But, like, yeah, that's the thing. The Journaling Broom says, I'm just going to stick to the Hobonichi weeks for planners, but the Sterling Ink really certainly made me consider for a moment. I mean, I think that's really the thing is, like, you really get drawn into this idea. But Hobonichi is also another one of those companies that, like, they are wild with their level of marketing. I mean, their marketing is so over the top. They have a release. Like, they have a calendar that they, like, get everybody into the frenzy of what thing is going to be announced every day for an entire month. They have these beautiful images of every single cover. They convince you you need a cover to put on top of your cover for Hobonichi. And I have been a Hobonichi user. I have some Hobonichi covers. This isn't me crapping on Hobonichi. I like their planners, although I do think Sterling Ink did a good job of just taking away the things that people were constantly covering up. Like, I don't need the quotes on every page. I certainly don't need the quotes in a language I can't read. So I do think that it is, like, I think that people need to recognize how effective the marketing is. And this is, like, one of the reasons I didn't end up releasing a planner, because it had been thought about, it had been requested. I, like, did the layout for it. I've done prints, and I've done, like, a budgeting planner release before that's, like, a smaller that I did locally printed. And one of the reasons I didn't do it is because I didn't have enough followers within the niche of planners to do it. And the way you differentiate your planner, it all comes down to marketing. It doesn't matter how great your paper is or how wonderful your layout is. Most of planners is all about marketing. So the really effective brands are brands that are good at marketing. I'm very worried about just how many variations are for Sterling Ink, but I hope it goes fabulously. Yeah, I am wondering what happens if there's not enough pre-orders. I am surprised people don't use their phone tablets kind of like they do for virtually everything else. So I have to use like a digital calendar, but the reason I use a planner, there's 2 reasons I do it. 1, it's artistic expression for me. And 2, like, so you have to view it more as an artistic expression hobby for a lot of the people that are really into the hobbies of planners. For me, a paper planner works better because I have to manage multiple calendars. And then also there is a hard limit on how much I can put on my to-do list on a paper planner, whereas I can make them infinitely long on my computer. But I use a combination of the 2. That is a good question. There may end up being so many variations, it's hard to meet that minimum quantity for every variation. Yeah. Possum Planner says, if I don't write it down, it doesn't exist to me. The digital is good for reference, but in the day-to-day, I need to write it down. Yeah, I do the same kind of thing. Oh my god, yes, I'm considering a traveler's notebook next year for journaling. Yes, it's weird for Traveler's Company because I feel like the original idea is it's supposed to be this high quality thing you buy once and you use for years. Absolutely. And I do think that that really like contributes to things. Last year they were reselling for top dollar, so I think this year the market will be flooded with people trying to sell these. I do think that's probably true with the washi tape ones. Okay. Um, Even wilder, there's still people asking her for different variations she didn't make. Y'all. I feel like so many people are getting her planners, so be surprised if she doesn't meet the minimum order for the amount. So what I am gonna say is like the minimum order for each of those variations, though. That's the thing I'm concerned about. I'm not worried about her meeting whatever minimum order, but there are so many combinations. I mean, let's do the Combinatorics. I don't know how to say that word. Okay, we're gonna do it right now, y'all. Okay, so we have how many different color combinations? We have 4 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 color combinations by 2 different edge combinations by 3 different planner types, and then I think there's 5 sizes. A5 to A6, B6, 3, Traveler's Notebook, 4, and 5, and 6. There's 6 different. There are 180 different combinations going on here. So I really hope she only has to meet like a minimum for each thing. I know what the word is. How do you pronounce it? Combinatorics? I don't think that sounds right. I've literally never heard this word said out loud. Anyway, there's 180 different combinations. So, oh, for the smaller ones, they don't have all the options. Okay, so like, I think Passport is a pretty rare size. So I'm wondering, it looked like they did have all the options. Oh, well, my iPad has given up on me now. Okay, is the Weeks a smaller one? They appear to have all of the options. These have all of the options. So I'm telling you, there are 180 combinations. Combinatorics. I hope I never have to say this on the air, but maybe I've learned it now. Passport is just horizontal or vertical. So only 2. Oh, because they didn't split it into, like... So that's just 2 options. So, I mean, that's still... Yeah. You can also choose between horizontal and vertical. Yeah. Planning feels like an acceptable adult artistic expression combined with productivity. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that my planning necessarily makes me more productive, because I'm sure making to-do lists makes me more productive, but I definitely spend like more time on the artistic expression part of planning than I would be if I was a strictly productive person. But humans are not meant to only be productivity machines. We are meant to be artistic creatures, and I do find some joy in that. So, if it was good enough for Benjamin Franklin, it was good enough for me. Fabric and yarn have a 3-year rolling budget. Pens and ink have a yearly rolling budget. Stationery and planners has a 6-month non-rolling budget. See, I like this. I do think that makes a lot of sense. Arnold says, I'm just thinking of sticking with items from Japan or Taiwan for the moment. That is one of the advantages right now of getting things from Japan and Taiwan. So this one is made in Taiwan. Is that right now, both the Taiwanese dollar and the Japanese yen are not doing very well. If you're in US dollars, they're not doing as poorly vis-a-vis the euro if you're in euros. Anyway, There can be a really significant exchange rate advantage, but the cost of shipping has kind of gone up. So that is a way to save. Yeah. Arnold says, another planner related live, you can do the economics of these Temu Express, AliExpress huge stationery hauls. And a lot of these new planner small businesses are using overseas manufacturing. Yes, I would love to talk about that. I don't know if I could like dive too deep into that, but what really helped me is this, writing down everything I spend and setting monthly budgets. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of people that are really into planning, tracking their planning actually in their planner. Like, you need to be tracking those expenses. You need to not be on autopilot. So setting a budget before you start browsing, avoiding doing, like, I'm not even just talking about avoiding shopping. I'm talking about avoiding the things that trigger you wanting to shop, that make you want to indulge. Don't buy things if you're having to finance them. Like, if you are not going to be able to pay off that credit card bill, if you're having to split it into multiple payments, you do not need to do that for a non-essential purchase. You don't need it. And then another big one, as someone who is currently in the process of moving, if you are someone that has been at this hobby for a while and you have a stash of stuff, you know, force your creativity. Find ways where you can utilize what you already have in kind of new and more fun ways. And, you know, I'm not going to get too deep into hobbies that are kind of more event-based, but we'll talk about we're talking about the consumerism-based hobbies. This is why I love the way that the Coffee Monster Co. TCMC, common big planner company, does her pre-order. It was so easy to budget and plan ahead. One of the things that really impressed me about her is that she actually considers the budgets of her customers when she decides what things to release. I found that really interesting. She wants things to have a variety, but she knows a lot of people will buy one of everything in the pre-orders, which is also like a different thing that we could talk about. But she really tries to make sure that she doesn't make it too expensive if you're buying like one of everything or most of everything, while also offering a variety. And I think that's really interesting. A personal finance book I read has a really good checklist to go through. If it's a want, will it bring a measure of joy to my life? Is it something I can easily afford? Am I feeling impulsive, crappy, or off kilter and looking for ways to feel better? Was that my book? Because I will say I have a checklist like that in my book, but I feel like any personal finance book would have something like that. But I like that. Yeah. I also like, if you are dealing with impulsive spending, which I've done more just specifically talking about impulsive spending, I'm talking more about like even just kind of overspending and overconsumption on hobbies, is one of the things that you can do is really like put yourself on a like media blackout if you're someone that gets really lured into this. If you find yourself not able to resist it when you know there's a deal, unfreaking subscribe from sales emails from the companies that you get. Unjoin their Facebook group. Stop following people that are affiliates for them that are going to post about the sales. Like, it is okay. No, you don't owe anyone your attention as their customer, as someone who likes their content, as someone with a parasocial relationship with them. If you find yourself like unable to resist when you know there's a sale going on, you can opt out of having that information. You can find ways to make sure that you don't know it's happening. I feel so seen. I put a bunch of washi tape in my Amazon cart and then I just let it sit there until I put it save for later. Oh my God, I love save for later. I love save for later. I'm also a big fan of, it doesn't work as well for like small Etsy shops and stuff like that, but I am a big, although Etsy, if you like something and it goes on sale, Etsy will alert you, which is wild to me because right now I'm like looking for wallpaper for my office. And I have been for like over a year. So I just have so many random things of wallpaper liked. And so I get notifications constantly. But generally, I really like a couple of the tools like Droplist and Honey that will, that are data mining platforms, just to be clear, but they will tell you when things are on sale and what the like lowest like most recent lowest price. It doesn't work as well for like small Shopify shops, but it works well for like Amazon listings and stuff like that, so that you know if it's a fake deal or a real deal when you see it on sale. Or if you're kind of like, I want it, but I don't want it enough to spend $20 on it, you can wait. And then when it's 13, that maybe that's your threshold. I still have issues with impulse spending, but I've gotten better at doing the forced timeout you talked about. It can be really hard to do the forced timeout, but I do like so I do a 24-hour waiting period for anything non-essential that is over. I now have moved it up to 15. It was 10 for years, but it turns out that it's just now 15. I have gotten it. One of the things that I've kind of run into as I've gotten more bougie, my time is worth more, and so I will end up buying some things that are like non-essential, but that would make my life easier, that will just show up. I kind of buy them more easily now. I used to be like, I will go to the thrift store, or I'll find the freest or the cheapest version of this. Yeah. I was so tempted by the comment planner, but I know me, I barely use my Hobonichi, so I'm probably going to skip it. I'm so interested about how many people are here to like talk specifically about the Sterling Ink sale, because I do think it's a lot of fervor right now. I have not bought it yet, but I'm still trying to decide. The take a note planner, we're not going to get too deep into my own planner issues, but I do have to decide in like the next week and change. My birthday is also July 7th, so I can consider it a birthday present to myself if I get it. But this works well for me. The take a note has a layout of like a horizontal layout of the week here, and then these full vertical columns, and the week is split between 4 pages. And it works pretty well for me because I work a Wednesday through Friday work schedule. And then my weekends are Monday and Tuesday, so they're kind of like by themselves on the week. And then my first day of work is here. And it is working really well. I'm a list maker. That's like my primary method of everything. I just really like lists. And something I ran into with the Hobonichi was that a whole page for the day was like too much for me, but I liked having the week view of my time. And then I didn't have enough room in the columns to like write out a to-do list. But if I just in the Hobonichi wrote my to-dos, I can't show you my Hobonichis because I have already packed all my planners and put them in storage. If I hadn't already made a fake weeks for next year in a bookbinding course, I'd be very tempted. Oh, that's so cool though. That's a cool way to do your hobby. Way to make your a planner hobby even more expensive by getting into bookbinding. But like, I guess realistically it's probably same, right? Use your stuff. That's a huge thing. And here's the thing, if you like set a goal, this is one of the things they recommend with clothes, which is that you like put a record over your in the middle of your like clothing bar in your closet. And then every time you wear something, you move it to the other side of the record so that you can easily see what you haven't worn. I track all the data on what I wear every day, so I have this data. It doesn't make it any harder to get rid of certain things. I am learning in the moving process. But you can do the same kind of thing with your hobby supplies. So if you have a lot of washi tapes, and instead of buying new washi tapes, you start, every time you use a washi tape, you like move it over, and then you can really see what you're not using. Either it'll spur you to use what you're not using, or it maybe encourages you to resell it on a buy-sell trade group. If I have trouble thinking of any other hobbies, but yarn would be another category. It can be really easy to convince yourself that you're holding on to this stuff for some future project, but at some point you need to consider like the amount of stress that carrying that on is doing, and you shouldn't necessarily be going out and buying tons more if you have all of these other unfinished the UFOs. I've used YNAB for years, so it's fully transparent spending. I've also used YNAB for years, although a lot of planner stuff is a business expense for me, and I do use YNAB for my business, but it's a lot easier for me to spend some of my business money on planning-ish supplies. I wish I could find the interview, but I recall someone who made the call of only buying items when they're not on sale. They saved more in the end by only buying if they would if they would only buy at full retail. That's really interesting. I would be really interested in that. Arnold says, I don't think I'll get one from Sterling Inc. I'm too loyal to Hobonichi and Traveler's Company. You are a sucker for the marketing. I get it though. I really like my Traveler's notebook that I got, but I'm using it for like journaling, and I was mostly using it for travel journaling, but I also got it because I was in Japan, so I got like the special edition train one, and I'd been thinking about getting one for years, so I was like, I'll get it now while I'm getting one at the train store. Know Your Joe says, what makes one planner better or more desirable than another? Whew! I'm gonna let people sound off in the comments, Joe, because I don't know if I can... it's different for everyone, and the quest for the best planner is like a very personal thing. People call it the search for their planner piece. That's part of the overconsumption in the planner world, is that some people will just cycle through planners because they haven't found the perfect one. For me, it matches the way that I think about time. So I really need time to be represented in a vertical standpoint. I can only really think about it like that. I don't like the kinds of planners where everything's horizontal and you just like write. Yeah, it just doesn't work for my brain. Also has to do for a lot of people with the paper type. A lot of these very desirable planners that people in the planner community go wild over, like Hobonichi and Traveler's Journal, have extremely nice paper that can handle fountain pens really well and feels nice to write on, which will be very different than, say, like a dollar store planner would. And this is, once again, you can absolutely plan your time on a dollar store planner, but some people, this is a nice luxury for them. It's like a nice everyday luxury for a lot of people. I think that's one of the things to think about. Like if you're using a planner on a daily basis and you're really using it on a regular basis, having really nice paper that you can use fountain pens on and stuff like that, it feels like a daily luxury. So representation of time, people have all sorts of different ideas about what makes the best planner. And then size is another big one. I like A5 and B6, which is what this size is, which is about a half letter sheet A5 for American people. B6 is slightly smaller than that, but a lot of people like these kind of like thinner, longer ones, like the Traveler's Notebook and the Weeks Planner Hobonichi. I work Monday through Friday, so I use the weekend page as a weekly dashboard and other pages for daily to-do lists. Oh yeah, interesting. This is what I'm doing with my washi tape this year. I'm using the monthly page to track what washi I'm using. Oh, that's really, really cool. Possum Planner says, also reselling is work too. Absolutely. I do agree with that. Reselling is work, and reselling your own stuff can be really challenging. And if it's something that isn't necessarily going to move very fast, like it's like a half-used sticker stash or a non-desirable washi tape, sometimes the like burden of having to remember that you've listed it somewhere can be harder. So I'm not going to begrudge that. There's a reason I haven't been reselling a lot of my clothes. That also has to do with the amount of cat hair that's on my wardrobe. But Jenny says, I need a monthly and weekly view in a planner. Being a fountain pen person, I like fancy papers. I use a Monday start like a B6 or a B6 Slim. Yeah, the B6 Slims are interesting. I keep looking behind me, but I forgot that I've already packed up my planner, so normally I can like show a bunch of different ones. I only have this one and my Traveler's Notebook right now because everything's packed for moving. Arnold Jimenez, is Jimenez how you pronounce your last name? Let me know. The vibe and aesthetic that they give. Hobonichi is very Japanese in terms of marketing, and using Travelers is so vintage, it grows old with you. Yeah, Travelers is very like, it has a very particular aesthetic, as does Hobonichi. Yeah. Creating with Pam says, I've given up on reselling, I'll just give it away at this point. Yep, props to you. I'm not wearing it because you wouldn't be able to see it anyway because it's a skirt, but I just got this amazing skirt from a friend, and it is a Moschino, like 90s skirt, and it's so fabulous. And she was like, I wanted to give it to someone who would appreciate it, more than I wanted to get money for selling it. And I certainly didn't want to like give it to Goodwill or something like that. I wanted someone to appreciate it. And oh my God, I will appreciate it. But I get that. And like with more niche hobbies like planners, like, you know, people outside the planner world do not realize that like this Too Much Coffee Monster Co. washi tape is worth so much more, right? And it's like a limited edition or whatever. But people in the planner community know. But that's also what I mean about like getting out of the bubbles, because I will also say that like quest to recapture the value that you've gotten out of these items that like piece by piece are maybe $5 or $20 and like get that value back in is sometimes just not worth it. And giving them to someone who will delight in them and actually use them. Yeah. This is a good friend. Yes, she's also designing my costume. I'm Ursula in The Little Mermaid on Ice next month. And I think it's actually called Under the Sea, so Disney doesn't sue us. But I am Ursula, and she's a seamstress who's making my costumes. She just has like a beautiful eye for fashion and creation. And also her studio that I got to go to this morning for my fitting is like the size of the entire ADU we're moving into. And we were talking about how hard it is to get rid of stashes of fabric. Rachel says, planner criteria is, does this layout work for my life schedule? Does it allow for both weekly and daily tasks? Also, I like A5 pure white paper, dotted paper, and I can't see through it with black ink. See, I'm telling you, we all have different criteria. Jenny says, I like ginormous wallets and my financial planner has to fit inside my wallet, which is why I use a B6 slim week sides for all financial household planning. If my wallet is huge, I know I won't lose it. Interesting. I've still managed to lose a huge wallet. I used to have a huge wallet because I would keep both my phone and my passport in it, because for a long time I had physically lost my driver's license a bunch of years ago, and I didn't want to go pay $70 to replace it when I don't drive. So then I just had to carry my passport around everywhere, because in Oregon I would get ID'd everywhere I went. And I still managed to lose my giant wallet with my passport in it. I do not understand how I did this. I did eventually get it back, but yes, I do think that's realistic. For a long time, before I started using YNAB, I used physical paper ledgers, like a checkbook register, for all of my transactions. So I spent everything on my debit card and I would log everything, but I would get these gorgeous off Etsy, early days of Etsy, these beautiful, letterpress checkbook registers. And sure, they maybe cost me $9 when I could get a checkbook register for free from my bank. But the beautifulness of the paper meant that, one, I was willing to carry it around, and two, I enjoyed taking it out and doing the manual logging for every purchase, and it really made it feel real in my head, which is why I always recommend when people take a personal finance class with me, I make them track their spending on paper for 1 week. And I am a YNAB user. I use a lot of apps. We do the Budget Olympics every year, where we review all the budgeting apps, but I still appreciate that something changes in your brain, and it's really easy to let go of things if you're tracking them online, and that physical putting pen to paper can make you pick up patterns, especially when you first start trying to track your spending. Know Your Joe says, I need a hobby that generates wealth and not reduces it. What is your hobby that reduces wealth? Or do you already have a hobby that generates wealth? I think that's what's really interesting about the planner community. And I do think that one thing that applies to other hobbies is that if you do have a hobby that costs you money, you can explore if there is ways that you can generate income from it. If you have a niche hobby that costs a lot of money, could you be blogging about it so that you could track your own progress, but it might be interesting to other people to read about it, or vlogging, or usually it's going to be creating content. In the planner world, it might be creating planner stickers and selling them. And most people with planner shops, I would say, other than some really successful ones or ones where people live in countries with much lower cost of living than the majority of their planner customers. Most planner shops are not a full-time job replacement income-wise, but for a lot of people, it is like a very steady side hustle, and it definitely does offset the cost of their planner addiction, and that is one way to do it. Geograph Concept says, I got a Hobonichi B6 for symptom tracking and journaling, and it's so small that I can put it into any bag, which is my new most important criteria. That's like one of the things that's very fascinating. Do you have like a cool layout you're using in your Hobonichi for symptom tracking and journaling? I don't want you to like spill your health data all over, but I'd be really interested to see like what your layout that you're using. Are you just jotting it down, or is there like something more you're doing? Hoseki Gaming, Yosuki. Did I get it? Tell me how to pronounce your name. It took me a while to hop on, but I'm glad you're still streaming. We haven't even eaten one of the 2 donuts yet, so this is a good trigger that that it's time to eat the donut. And Erin has a good ending here. I wanted to get into 3D printing, so I funded my 3D printer purchase by selling 3D printed products. I think you've been very successful at offsetting that. Possum Planner says, I don't have a fun layout for health stuff. I'm just jotting it down. Okay, y'all, you have to vote on the donut first, which one we're going to do first. So, if you don't know, if you're new here, this is Talking Dough and Eating Donuts. We talk about economics, and we eat a donut. And it's time to eat the donut. So, I'll let you choose which one goes first. This one is a maple twist, and it's made with real Vermont maple syrup. And this one is a strawberry rhubarb fritter. We can do the overhead camera, but it won't be very pretty. Is the overhead camera on? It is not on. I'll turn on the overhead camera. Once it's on. There we go. Okay, so here's the strawberry rhubarb fritter. Pretty beautiful. Look at that. Fresh gorgeousness. And then this is the maple twist, which is, I think, much more basic, but look at that fry on the bottom. Pretty good. Okay. I don't think I can do polls on here. Can I do polls? Let's find out. Start a poll. All right. We're going to do a very fast poll. Strawberry rhubarb or maple twist. All right, let's go. Okay, thank you for trying. It's pronounced like the JoJo character. I haven't seen JoJo. Josuke? Josuke. I hope that's a J, like the English pronouncing. Oh my god, the maple is very excited. Strawberry rhubarb first, it might be less sweet. Maple twist is really leading right now. It's at 58%. All right. I think we got enough votes. Oh, it's the poll is just going back and forth, you all. Can I display this? I don't think I can. It's not. I can't display this, but we're gonna do it. Maple twist is winning 57%. It's very heavy, I gotta say. It's like, I think the sweetness is too high relative to the, I wanted it to be crispierness. It's not, I will say, if you get enough of the bottom piece in it, it's not too overly sweet. The maple, oh, that was a good maple bite. .5 out of 5. That's the rating. Okay, now we're going to go for the strawberry rhubarb. Look at this. It's the size of my head. Well, almost the size of my head. Look at the inside of that fritter. This giant piece here. This is Oregon strawberries. And our strawberries might be the best in the world. And the way I know this is that my employer produces a series about food in Oregon. And they just did a whole series about strawberries. And about why we grow such good strawberries in Oregon. This is like incredible real strawberry flavor. It's not the fake kind. It's very crispy on the bottom. Okay. Yeah. This is 5 out of 5, I think. I have trouble imagining what could make this one better. It's like, it's not really cake. It's like more fluff. It's more fluffy bready on the inside. And the inside is not sweet at all. Possum Planner says, did not know Oregon is known for strawberries. We are really kind of known for all of our berries. But we don't make the most strawberries. We just make some of the best. This is like super crunchy and almost burnt, but not quite in the middle here. Oh. Y'all, this bit right here was caramelized. So that was like, it was like fry bread combined with strawberry flavor, real strawberry flavor. Five out of 5. No bar. Do I want to finish this? Or do I want to save it for later? There's another little caramelized piece right there. Oh. Whimper. I'm sorry, you all. Normally it's not like quite so unfair when I eat these on the stream, but this one is just really good. My boyfriend is over here trying to eat healthier, so he's over here pining at the maple donut. To quote my boyfriend, this is cruel and unusual punishment. I'm sorry, y'all. Possum Planner says, meanwhile in the Midwest, bland berries as far as the eye can see. I didn't know how good berries could be, nor did I know how many types of berries there were until I moved out to Oregon. And I remember when I first moved out here and I lived in rural Oregon, I'd see all these signs like on the, like, I lived in a small town, and like on the notice board at the post office, there'd be like signs up for blackberry removal. And I'd be like, I'll go remove your blackberries, having no idea that blackberries are an invasive species in Oregon and like removing a blackberry is a bitch. But I thought that was pretty wild when I came here because like I had no idea. But it does make it hard to spend any money on berries in the store. Because you're like, I could just go like down this to any creek and like eat some berries. At all the farmers markets, there's tons of strawberries. It might be a 6 out of 5. I don't have that option though. In Texas, heat-dried, wilted, brown, and crunchy everything berries. But are heat-dried, like, if you get them crunchy, are they good? I do really like dehydrated berries, and that's, like, a food, like, special. Like, it's, like, my birthday next week, and I might let myself get some, like, dehydrated strawberries, because, damn, those are good, but they're, like, I'm not gonna put that much energy in. I live somewhere where we had a solar dehydrator. I had, like, electric backup, that was really great. But otherwise, I'm not running a dehydrator. We do rarely get out of 5 out of 5, but I think we actually had one like a couple weeks ago. Where did you get this from in PDX? I'm a local too. It's from Dough Donuts. It's vegan too. Incredible. Stay strong, boyfriend. You can do this. Creating with Pam, we're sending your boyfriend all of the good energy. The thing is, I can't get it to you, so. That was the number one shock moving out here, how expensive veggies and fruit are, and they're not great. Yeah, I am so interested in the regional variations and the country variations based on food prices. Okay. Slight interlude. We'll get back to planners. We're gonna go look at some planners and like admire them, okay? But slight interlude, this K-drama that I'm watching. Netflix finally was like, serve it up to you. And since I'm moving, I'm doing a lot of like packing right now. And I will say, something in a language you don't speak is not necessarily the best thing to watch while you're moving, but the K-dramas like kind of repeat a lot of the plot points several times, so it's okay if you miss some things. But the K-drama I'm watching, the main character is a food researcher, and I'm finding it so fascinating. Like, I've always known about food researchers, but watching the ins and outs of a food researcher doing their job, like a commercial food researcher is very fascinating. And anyway, it's gotten me thinking, because she, like, one of the parts of her job is that she has to, like, figure out how to, like, how to bring the cost down in the ingredients and everything. And I'm like, I wish there was just more reporting on the prices. I would like to know it. Possum Planner just cited a possum. Very exciting. Are you named Possum Planner after these particular possums that you haven't seen in a few weeks, or not? Fuzz Bubbles went back and found from the data that we actually had a 5 out of 5 on June 6th. So it was only a couple weeks ago. It was the blueberry lemon thyme buttermilk donut that was very good. Oh, there's a good Planet Money episode where they talk to a French fry scientist. Oh, I will have to do that. Rachel says I've definitely watched that one if she has to figure out how to make ravioli. Yes. I will say, this is not really my kind of content, but I would love to do a media analysis of, like, some of the very screwed up tropes that are meant to be read as, like, romantic. And, like, also, is this particular to Korean culture or just a K-drama trope that the level of miscommunication that these couples have to prolong the plots is out of control? And I know that there's a lot of, like, indirectness in especially Korean business culture, and this is like a workplace romance. But the amount of indirectness that is going on to continue to, like, not have to, like, push the will they won't they storyline out, I cannot tell if this is, like, Korean culture because I don't know enough about it, or if this is just a K-drama thing. So I would really like someone who lives in Korea to tell me. I need to find someone who is Korean or is, like, lives in Korea and is part of Korean culture to do me a media analysis of K-dramas. Does that exist? Please, in the YouTube channel, if you know any podcasts or YouTube channels that do media analysis of K-dramas from the perspective of a Korean person, please, I would like that. I'm desperate for it. Do you ever see baby possums? I think they're so cute. Okay, well, we're going to look up baby possums before we look up planners. And find out what they look like. Oh my god, they are really cute. Look how cute these are. I have seen baby possums before, but damn, they're so cute. I forgot they all ride on the back of the possum mom. And maybe the possum dad. Do possums stay together after they have young? Who's the primary caregiver in possum relationships? Is it shared? Are possums monogamous? Possum says, I actually submitted baby possums to be pet of the week, but they have yet to be featured. I need to go check my submissions. It is time to have baby possums as flu for the week. Next week. Although, I will say that the baby, what was I going to say about flu for the week? Oh, next week's stream. I don't know if we're going to do it because it is a holiday in the US. It's 4th of July, and it's a holiday when people in the US tend to do things in the evening. Although I think a lot of people are going to have to work the next day because it's on a Tuesday. So, yeah, I'm like, I just don't know if we should do it on 4th of July. I know it's only a holiday in the US, but like a good chunk of my viewership is US, especially since we're at the evening time now. So I don't know. Should I do it? I don't have plans for 4th of July. It's my birthday week. So I'm used to having to share my birthday with America. But I don't have plans, but I kind of want to leave my evening open for baby plans, but maybe my plans are just the live stream. I don't know. We could talk about American capitalism and the fall of American imperialism, but maybe that's too depressing of a topic for 4th of July. We could talk about the impacts of colonialism on indigenous populations in North America. I mean, what? Yeah. It's so hot here, the heat kills everything before it is big and ripe. We have 2 very short growing seasons with scorching summer heat in between. My mom, and I think my dad for a short period of time, but my mom served in the Air Force in Texas, and it just seems brutal. Every time I go down to Texas, it seems hotter than it feels like it should be for whatever time of year I'm down there. A possum family from a few years ago. There's 10 million Sarahs in the world, so I needed a different username. I just think of you as Possum Planner. So this is one of the things about the internet, is that sometimes I meet people in real life that I've known for years on the internet, and I still one of the people that's very popular on the forums, who I knew from the internet before I met in person, but now is a real life friend. Her username on the internet is Monkey Jenga, and still interchangeably, because so many of us in her friend group knew her from the internet. A lot of us call her MJ in real life, which is nothing like her initials in real life. So I'm terrible at consistently tracking data in my life, but I love when there is data to reference. So thanks for the tracking. If you're into data tracking, you might look the book I'm reading now, Dear Data. Oh yeah, I've read Dear Data. I like it too. I love fireworks, but hate crowds, so I'll probably be inside. I do not love fireworks. And I hate crowds. I don't like either of those things, really. Media Rex says that I should take the week off. You take a week off. I don't really know what I'm going to do. Also, I will say you can absolutely hear the fireworks here, and a lot of people were setting off fireworks like bananas. And so it might not even be possible to stream from here because there might be so many fireworks outside. So, and there was a burn ban, and you weren't even supposed to be setting off fireworks for 4th of July last year, and people were just blatantly ignoring it. So, I forgot that I still have the possums up, but yes, they are very cute. Sounds like Jane Austen costume dramas. Cannot stand that will they, won't they trope. I feel like it's more realistic for Jane Austen because it is actually reflective of the dating norms. Bridgerton, on the other hand, oof. But Jane Austen, I mean, I would say all of her books are fairly realistic because they show how much life circumstances can influence a match, even if people are a good love match. But whatever, we're getting away from our analysis here. We have 2 holidays here a week apart, but fireworks are banned this summer because Canada is burning. Yeah, Canada is burning. Oregon is burning like every summer, but that doesn't stop people from being idiots. So citizens can never set off fireworks. It is always banned, but this year the cities aren't setting off fireworks. See, we had the opposite problem last year, which was that I think it was last year, but like none of the official fireworks displays were happening, but then citizens were setting them off like wild. So in Germany, the way that it works is that citizens are not allowed to have fireworks except for 10 days a year around New Year's. But that means that people go batshit for fireworks. I've cursed so much in this live stream compared to normal. I'm gonna get demonetized. Oh well. All 30 cents I was gonna earn from this live stream. But people go batshit, and like the streets of fucking Berlin on New Year's Eve are terrifying. It actually sounds like a war zone. Like it's like very, very stressful. I just generally think like just be nice to veterans and just like don't set off fireworks and refugees and people with other kinds of PTSD. I'm like, they're pretty, but like the electronic lights displays I think will be a thing, and like the drone displays are absolutely going to be a thing soon. So, and then we'll probably find out they like kill all the birds or whatever. The smoke is so bad in the Midwest coming from Canada. I can't imagine how bad it is up by you. I hope you're staying safe. People in our neighborhood fire off cannons on 4th of July and New Year's. Holy crap. Is your neighborhood like big enough that there's space enough for cannons? Because I'm just going to say like cannons be big. I bet you in real life first, so it's jarring to go into an online space with my random YouTube name. I do the opposite with online friends. I eventually meet in person. I think I know who you are in real life. I'm not going to like out you on the internet. But once you said it was from JoJo, I suspect I know who it is, but I don't always know. Oh, Geograph Concept says I'm reading The Murder of Mr. Wickham, which is a Jane Austen fan fiction that is so far quite good. Okay, I have a question. Is any part of it gay? So this is my problem with the K-dramas, is that the K-dramas like are never really gay. Occasionally it's played for laughs or like kind of referenced, but there's so much tension between these like 2 male leads that for like quite a while I was like, are they secretly dating? Is this the plot line? But because it's like K-dramas and generally Korean society is pretty conservative and like there isn't a lot of gay representation in mainstream media in Korea, it's never true. And this is my big complaint, is that things are not gay enough. And like obviously in Jane Austen things were not gay, but in the fan fiction they can be. We've lost over 1 million hectares to forest fires so far this year in Quebec. In the last 10 years, we lost something like 7,000. The loss is truly catastrophic. Yeah, I know it's really bad up there. I'm sorry. My cousin is in PhD for meteorology, and he's out on the East Coast, and he has been filling us in and tracking all of that. I'm sorry. It's really terrible. You all don't normally have wildfires in that part of Canada very often, right? Like, or if you do, they're usually like fairly small. Valencia for the fellas, whole month long. And then the fire department burns all these 3-stories effigies. I mean, you know. Fireworks went on sale around Vegas. It will be noisy through the holiday. Yeah. Geograph Concept says, so far nothing is gay. It's unfortunately mostly about solving a murder and gossip. Why are you out here recommending non-gay fan fiction? Okay, y'all. Do you want to look at planners? I said we were going to look at planners. I promised you planners. Let's look at some planners. So this is the Sterling Ink one that we already talked about. She doesn't have like a ton of pictures of these because she only got so many samples. I'm still really trying to decide if I'm going to get this one. So I'm considering it, but I do really like the Take a Note, which is the one that I have. So I can't really figure out if I should get it. I will say I'm liking the space for the to-do lists, but where I've got this full, like, oh, I could use my overhead camera maybe. Can you see it better if I use the overhead camera? So it's still kind of hard to see, but I like this, like, having this much space for the to-do list. But as you can see, I realistically don't need it every day. So I kind of was like, maybe I need a B6 version of this one. I do miss my weekly view that I used to have. So, you know, oh, we're still talking about forest fires. Y'all, we're here to look at planners. The 4 seemingly identical internal photos. No, so this one is the weekly view. Oh. This one is the weekly view here. So it's got like the pages there. It's got the timeline there. Little space at the bottom. There's no quotes on it. This one is a monthly view. And it's got like that. And it's just very simple. There's no like decoration. And then this one is a quarterly view with these vertical trackers in it. And this one is the like goal breakdown, but it's a pretty minimal layout. So it says someday, 1 year, half year, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. And then the idea is you like break down how you're going to do your goals, which was something that the creator of this planner used to do in her Hobonichi, and people really liked it. So that's why she put it into her planner. This one is like meant to be just a grid that you could use to track anything else. Geograph Concept says B6 forever. You can put it in so many bags, literally all bags except teeny tiny bags. So I actually end up leaving this at the office when I'm in Wednesday through Sunday usually, and I don't need to carry it around. So it hasn't been a huge deal. The planner that I'm using, Yosuke, did I say Yosuke right? Is the Take a Note planner. So I can show you all what that is. It is not out for next year yet, but the Take a Note is a Taiwanese one. Don't get freaked out by that price. That's in Taiwanese dollars. It's actually very affordable. However, the shipping can be really high from Taiwan. So my recommendation is if you do want to get it, there are a couple US distributors. One of them is Yosika Stationery in New York, but they have US shipping and they don't mark them up tons. And they're a Taiwanese owned business. So I think they're very happy to carry the planners. So they will carry the Take a Note. The Take a Note also has these like little traveler's notebook ones that you can do, which I've been very interested in now that I have a traveler's notebook. But once again, I'm trying not to buy all of the things. They don't have very many planners right now because it is halfway through the year. So yeah, let's not talk about burning anymore. Let's not talk about trees. Let's talk about what comes from trees. Let's talk about paper products. B6 is a sweet spot for work, but my everyday carry is week sized. I feel like B6 was really good. I used to have the Jimbun Techo, and the Jimbun Techo is a B6 Slim, and I pretty much liked it except the slim part of it. But I had a B6 of the Jimbun Techo Days, which was the only size that would work for me for daily planning. So this one, I really like the layout. Like, it's like very cool because it has a thing down the middle, and for someone that makes to-do lists, but then also wants to track their time vertically, it worked really well for me, but I was very sad without any kind of weekly layout at all, like only having the dailies. So it didn't work quite as well for me. Yosika is wonderful. Yeah, they're very cool. I also don't know if it's Yosika or Yoseka, because once again, I've never heard it pronounced. I love them, up there with jet pens. They used to like send you a handwritten note with every single one, and I was like, this does not seem scalable, and eventually they were like, this is not scalable. I was thinking of trying that one with all of them on sale, but I do not need an add another option to decide between. I know that's like totally frustrating and hard. So, Know Your Joe, our non-planner nerd here, who's asking the important questions. Are day runners and Rolodexes still a thing? Rolodexes, some people still use them. I would say that Rolodexes are not very common anymore because most people use computers to track their like things, unless they really need paper Rolodexes. But I like how I just opened the baby possums. Day runners are a thing, but day runners don't have like super nice paper, but they are like a cheaper option. Nowadays, Staples works with some of the more like niche brands. So if you're into planners and you don't want to be shelling out like for some of the more higher end planners or the foreign planners that maybe aren't higher end, but like after shipping, they're really kind of pricey. You can wait for Staples sales and you can usually find like the cheaper version. So Day Designer is one of these planners that some people like really love. I cannot handle spirals at all. So even though I like the layout, I can't handle it. Day Designer themselves, their planners are like hella pricey. They are chunky books too. So their planners are like $68. This is another one where they're like their marketing and their launches are just like a media marketing frenzy. But if you like the Day Designer, but you are like, man, $60 for a planner I might abandon. Day Designer has a partnership with Blue Sky where they sell Day Designers at Target that are like $12 or like this one's $24. That's probably like a daily one. So if you are curious about one of these or want to do one of these, then one of your options here is to find, it'll have a lower paper quality. It might not have like quite as nice of covers and stuff like that, but generally. Rolodexes are out. Oh, thank you for chiming in, oh young one. Rolodex is a thing that Rolodexes are like what you would use to contact people, and you'd put all your contact cards in them and you'd like flip them around. Let's find a picture of a Rolodex for Geograph concept. But yeah, most people don't use Rolodexes anymore. You can pick these up at thrift stores if you want. I do still think they're kind of good for recipe cards. But yeah, this is what it looks like. If you're someone who gets a lot of business cards, I can still see the appeal of the Rolodexes, but I just digitize all my business cards now so I can search. My grandma still uses her Rolodex, but she's 96. So yeah, this is what a Rolodex looks like. My handwriting is too big for the small notebooks. Can't fit enough stuff on the page. Yeah, that's a good point. Handwriting size is another variable in there. I live in the suburbs and don't go to the city much, but it was Saturday and I passed a custom journal shop, but it was closed for the day. Well, you might have to plan a trip. Just make sure you budget ahead of time for it. The Day Designer Target ones are only weekly, but they're really nice. Also comes with stickers in the back. Oh yeah, I thought they did like a daily one last year, but yeah, they're surprisingly nice. I got one like super duper on sale quite a long time ago. This one's cool because it like stands up, but this is only a monthly one. So no, day runners are not in a spiral binder. Day runners are spiral versus being you're probably thinking of Filofax when you're talking about the binder ones. And Filofaxes are still absolutely a thing. And if you're into Filofaxes, there's like a different planner community for that kind of. You could go anywhere. Speaking of things I need to sell, if you are, it doesn't sound like anybody on my stream is, but any of you are a binder person. I am not a binder person, but quite a long time ago, I got this Kiki K binder, and it's very nice, and I need to figure out, I need to either sell it or gift it to someone that will use it, because I'm moving, and I'm not going to hold on to it. But it's nice. It's like it's real leather and everything. So that's on my list of things I have to do before I move. Filofax is still popular. Yeah. I think Kiki K is cuter and more popular. I think Kiki K is more popular among niches. And then Erin Condren, who had a bunch of drama, a lot of drama, which if you're really interested, you can go look it up. But Erin Condren planners are also like these big chunky ones, and you can also get them to fit into binders. So some people are like a Kiki K plus a day runner or plus a Filofax binder. It's like a whole thing. Filofax also does a bunch of collaborations with like designers, so you can get like a Kate Spade Filofax and things like that. But I will say that the Erin Condren, lots of controversy, but we don't need to dive into it right now. But they have those, and then I guess most of them are spiral bound. And then another option, if you're interested in the really fun planners, but you want to avoid, but don't do this if you're someone who's really into collections. So there is this type of planner called Happy Planner, which has incredible marketing. I've talked about it on the stream before. The thing about a Happy Planner is they also do these releases that people get a fervor for, and they make some, actually, in my opinion, pretty incredible sticker collections. You know, and they're really big, so they can do things at a scale that like a small sticker shop cannot. But people are like obsessed with doing getting every single like sticker collection from Happy Planner, and they go like really mad. But if you just like some of them and you have a Michaels near you, Michaels has so many coupons. If you can't find a Michaels coupon, just like ask me. I swear they send me like 10 coupons a day. And you can often get like 40% off coupons for Michaels, and then they always have sales, and they stock Happy Planners. The problem was that some people are so intense about Happy Planners that often the shelves can be like super empty at Michaels. But if you are someone that is like really into collections and spiral into consumerism, I would not recommend getting into Happy Planners because they make so many versions of things. And the bid up gets really, really, really expensive. Possum, grab a baby possum. Resist. Yeah, went there. What a spiral into consumerism. Not the Happy Planner. They had a lot of controversy too, of not really bounced back from it. I don't know. It's a very slippery slope. I don't know if I followed the Happy Planner controversy. Most of what I saw about the Happy Planner was that people were just like really angry that they couldn't get stuff, like, and they seem to be very demanding consumers that were like upset. They are constantly releasing, like they do have releases all the time. If you can fill in the controversy, otherwise I'll look it up for myself. But if you can do it briefly, I would be very curious to know. I also know that like some of their planners ended up having like a lot of religious content in it, and people felt like it was like not being clearly stated that there would end up being religious content in some of them. There's a lot of drama with Happy Planner. Y'all, fill me in. Maybe I shouldn't be getting into the Schadenfreude. Here's the question I have. Do you think that there's drama with all of these like Asian planner companies that people are obsessed with, but people are just not as plugged into it or like hyper aware because so many of the consumers do not speak the language? Or like people are more willing to forgive it when Hobonichi makes faux pas because they're like, oh, it's a cultural difference? I'm really curious. I heard vague stuff about how they sold to a Christian company and then they did a really boring Pride collection. What is a boring Pride collection? Just like a bunch of rainbows? I'm gonna go look at Happy Planner's Pride collection if I can find one. I'm very curious. It's just very rainbow based. Hello? Oh, this is a very boring. Oh, apparently rainbows is pride. my God. Oh my Lord. This is great. Yeah, one of the ones that I used, that the founder was always Christian and like the owner of the company, but she sold to a Christian company, power sheets. I used to use those as like, they're not a planner per se, but they're like goal setting power sheets. And I just never really vibed with the community. They try to like push the idea that you can like be part of their community when you get the power sheets. And the community was just very focused on like a certain kind of Christian woman of a certain age. And so it just did not vibe with me, which is fine. Everybody needs communities that they like, that works for them. Not every community has to be inclusive and open to everyone. But they then got sold to a Christian company that was like not LGBTQ affirming. And so I think a lot of people that already had kind of like stepped away from a lot of the Cultivate, What Matters is the name of the company, like had kind of already, like it kind of lost the last of the people. I was just about to bring up power sheets. Tell me you haven't been around evangelicals without telling me. I think there was drama between two Japanese stationery companies that was discussed by Topio Pin Shop YouTube channel. Did you mention this on your channel? I can't remember. I didn't. I don't know that drama. I feel like I vaguely recall something about like a paper factory, but I can't actually remember if I just like inserted that in my head. I use Happy Planner, but I'm not a stan. Interesting. Like just a bunch of rainbows. If they actually cared, they would do the flags. Yes. Well, and it's also rainbows with like with slogans on it that have literally nothing to do with pride. It's just like happy rainbows, which is like, you know, what's like on the children's clothing at Target that people are upset about. Anyway, Cindy has a good video about that. Yeah, so Cindy did a good job of like researching and looking at the statements. So I recommend that there. I will say that they said that like they're gonna keep power sheets the same, but you know, whether or not you want to support it. And I will say, like, I really struggled with if I should even get power sheets originally, because so much of the other stuff that company makes is like Bible related stuff. And I was like, is this right for me? But the power sheets are like not explicitly Christian. And so I think as long as they stay that way, they're still going to work for some people. Like I don't go around being like, you're not part of my religion, so I don't want to give you money. But you might be like, I don't want to give money to someone who is explicitly part of a faith that isn't LGBTQ affirming. And everybody, that is the nice thing about, you know, consumer capitalism activism. You can choose who you give your money to. I mean, no ethical consumption under capitalism, but this is blatant hate. My favorite tidbit of the new company is one of the mission trips they're sponsoring is a couple in Italy to convert all those damn Catholics. Oh, God. Oh, God. The evangelicals who don't believe that Catholics are Christians. I don't even know what to say. Thank you. That is... All right. We've done a lot. We've been streaming for almost 2 hours, you guys. I'm like, let's talk about overconsumption, and then I have 2 donuts and we talk about all the planners. So, in conclusion, 1, thank you for joining me on this Tuesday night. 2, not positive we're going to do a live stream because it is a national holiday next week. However, I have my birthday, July 7th off, so maybe I'll just stream on my birthday. 3, please make a plan. Don't go in blind and then just go into a fugue state, buying planner things or whatever your hobby is. Just make a plan before you buy. Implement waiting periods. Almost nothing has to be bought right now, especially when it comes to planner supplies. you probably won't miss out. And if it is something that you really, really want, that you've been aiming to get for a long time, if it's on a list and you've budgeted for something that you really want, then it'll be an easy yes when it finally is there. Don't consume content that makes you overspend if it makes you feel bad. And don't go into debt for hobbies. It's just, you shouldn't go into debt for something non-essential. Debt can be a useful tool. Installment plans can be useful for people that are very low income. They can help, but you shouldn't be using them for depreciable hobby expenses. So if you are not going to be able to pay off that credit card bill, if you have to use buy now, pay later, or, splitting it into shop pay installments, then you don't need it. It's like, you are not going to suffer as a person with your productivity. Your character will remain the same. Likely, you're going to get about the same amount of stuff done, even if you don't have the fountain pen or the washi tape or the planner. And that also goes the other way. You are an okay and good person, even if you maybe spend a little too much on planner stuff. And don't beat yourself up too much for overspending on hobbies. Just make a plan to address it. Getting in the shame spiral can sometimes make things worse, because you'll be like, oh, I spent too much. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. I should just go all in. I don't care. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your June, and I will see you in July. Stay safe, stay hydrated, pet a cat if you have one available, and I'll see you soon, hopefully with better hair. I have a haircut next week, and this hair situation is out of control. All right, see y'all later. Bye.